Welcome, viewers and artists, to another stream of Drawing Comics, Coloring Conan Part 31. I'm your host, and I am jumping in right into today's sesh. I am going to be inking. Not inking. I'm going to be coloring using India inks. I'm really excited about this. I really enjoyed the process. I discovered that I really enjoy India inks. I do have to actually do a little cleaning here. So I'm going to squeeze some water. I got this brush here that I was using last time. For those of you who are curious, this is a 0. The size is 0. Surprisingly, it's not incredibly stiff. So, I am going to continue to work on this panel right here at the bottom. I spent a lot of time last time on just this because I was learning it for the very first time, and I was trying to explain, like, what are the benefits really compared to watercolor. And things that I immediately noticed is that I'm able to do multiple layers on top because it dries very quickly. So unlike watercolor, where you're using water, it takes a while for it to dry, and it did seep through to the other side. Watercolors, excuse me. Whereas this, since it dries out so quickly, it creates a protective layer. So whatever I put on top, it's just going on top of that layer. It's not even going on the paper anymore. And that's excellent. That's really useful for just even playing around with things. Like, I don't have to rush it. I don't have to be like, oh my god, I gotta quickly make this stroke, because the longer I hold my brush on that paper, the more water is gonna seep out and go onto the paper and then warp it eventually. Whereas with this, it allows me the time to actually like pick the right color. So like, let's say I do the first layer and it's too dark. I could go and dab and mix things up, make it lighter. By the time I come back to do the next layer, it's already dry. So problem solved. You know, I could just go right over it. It's not going to mix with the color underneath it. So the mistake range is wider. You could actually make some mistakes and then easily correct them. And I really didn't think about that. I didn't think that that would be a really important part. But yeah, it really does play a big role. So for those of you who weren't part of the previous stream, this is it right here. Dr. Phil Martin's Bombay India inks. Beautiful colors, a whole range of them. This is what I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be mixing colors in order to achieve the skin tone. So I'm going to need some yellow. Oh boy. I need something to hold. Uh-oh. And that's not something I want to spill either. Should do it. Yeah, I'm going to be mixing some colors. First, I'm going to give it a shake away from the comic book, just in case. Now it's already liquid form, so you don't have to I don't have to really mix to get the yellow. Unlike watercolor, they come in tubes or on the pasty side, whereas this is immediately liquid. So very concentrated colors. So I got some yellow there. I'm gonna squeeze some magenta into the previous section of magenta and some white. At first I was like, would I really need white? You know, it's more like white out for mistakes or whatnot, but now I realize, and after playing around with India inks, that yeah, even though it's real liquid form and it kind of resembles whiteout, you could use it for mixing. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take some white, going to dab in some yellow in that white, dab in some red, and no, I think it needs more white. It's a little too bright. Gonna add some yellow and give it more of an orange tint. Also, what I did notice is that it doesn't cover up important detail as much. If you go thin, like a thin layer of it, it doesn't cover up the inks. And that's great. Especially in this case right here where I'm going to be doing a face. And there's some very fine lines that I don't want to be covered. Spoke too soon. I mean, it really depends on how it dries too. It might, like when it dries, it might actually not cover up the inks. We'll see. I'm running into a little bit of a mixing problem here. Where it's like too orange, too red. I gotta get it right in the middle. Conan, on the other hand, he's got himself quite a tan there. Is that right? It's about right. It looks like a sunburn. Like he's really gotten a bad sunburn. Could make sense. You know, could not be a technical mistake. Could actually be that. Considering the environment. Before he got himself this robe. But he really burned himself good. Man, oh man, am I happy about this consistency? And how translucent it is. Overall, I'm just a lot less anxious about the coloring process in comparison to watercoloring, because this paper isn't too thin, you know, in comparison to what you guys saw in the previous stream. The kind of paper that I'm using there, it's extremely thin. And this paper isn't like that, and yet it still wasn't able to. It's pretty thick, you know. It has some thickness to it. But yeah, despite that, it warped. Like as you guys could see here. I don't know if you could actually notice it, but just by looking at it, there are just some areas that really warped. Like there's hills on these panels. So I really had to like speed my way through to make that less. Whereas here, I'm not worried about it one bit. So it's perfect for coloring comics and for multiple type of paper. I'm gonna whoops. That wasn't white. I think I was just mixing things there. I'm gonna clean the brush and move on to another type of orange. His coat. Is that right? Nope. Way too bright. Still too bright. Just don't even think that that's really the color. I mean, it's close, but I think mine is a little bit more on the red side. There you go. It's getting there. Yeah, as you could see, in comparison to that other mark. But as I mentioned, just in due time, it's going to dry out pretty quickly. And I'll be able to go over it with the right color. I want to say it's too light. But it's kind of close. So I'm going to do a little bit more mixing there. That looks about right. More layers, not a problem. In fact, it makes it look better. But I will say it's pretty important to shake it up because I think there's still water there. So the more you shake it up, the more pigments mix with it. Smidge more orange than it is. Yeah, you know, I really miss I miss painting. I used to paint I used to use oils, and I used to paint using oils. So I'm glad that this medium allows me to like emulate that. It was, I think with watercolor, the importance of how much water you put on becomes a science. Like, you really have to pay attention to that, especially if you don't have the right kind of paper for it. Whereas this kind of takes that away. I mean, I'm still mixing colors. I'm still having to consider how much water I'm using, which I haven't really been. It's mainly colors that I've been mixing together in order to get the right tones. But there is a point where I could use water to mix it. With oils, it's pretty much just you're using oil. You're using linseed oil, and the oil colors already have linseed oil in them. You're just using more linseed oil for the same reason you would use water in watercolor, to just like dilute the tone of a color. But most of the time, I was just using the oils themselves. Like, I would just use white, just the same way as I am using it here, to mix the colors and get the colors that I'm looking for. I did notice an important detail here, and also another benefit to the India inks is that I'm also able to use black ink over it, whereas when I was using watercolor and then I noticed something and I wanted to do something like I did just now, I would have to wait until it would dry, because the inks wouldn't work well with it. It would create like a bleeding effect because there is water. And the pigment itself was a little bit on the chalky side, so it wasn't taking well to any inks until it fully dried. Whereas, as you guys saw here, it's pretty they're pretty close together. Like, I think I'm even using India ink in that pen, brush pen that I just used. I'm pretty sure that's black India ink that I put in there, so they all kind of work well together. And that makes well for correcting any mistakes. Like, if I accidentally cover up a detail, I could easily just pick up the brush pen and fill it in again. I don't have to wait like an entire day, let's just say, or like half an hour, or whatever the long period of time it is for the colors to dry before I fix that mistake. So yet another plus that I'm very happy about. Now we're gonna do Conan's boot, which is like, I want to say that's like it's not a lime green, it's like I don't know, grass green mixed with some white and brown, or yellow rather. So I dabbed just a tiny bit. And that's another benefit with these inks. You don't have to use a lot. Just like a drop lasts, I want to say, for more than one panel. Yeah, see, like, I think that there's some... That's way too green. There's some brown in there. So I'm gonna bring out that brown, and I'm gonna mix it with some white. I think it's important with these India inks to close the lid pretty tight. I did notice that over some time they kind of dried out. Like I had India ink, the black India ink. I opened it up one day to refill the pen, and all of a sudden everything was dry. So it tends to evaporate quickly. So just an important note. Make sure you give it a good squeeze. It's close, but I think it needs to be a little lighter. Very nice. Very nice results. They blend so well together. Have I gushed enough about them? About these India inks yet? So I believe I'm pretty much done. There's only some blue left. I'm gonna say it's teal. Just gonna squeeze a little bit of teal on there. Close it up tight. And see how that goes on his hair. Too bright. So today I'm gonna have to do some cleaning. I'm gonna see how easy it is actually just to clean this out. All the dried ones in the mixing section, and I'll tell you guys about that next time. Now those sandals are a little too blue. So it's not teal, it really is blue. Gonna squeeze a little bit of that. Just a dab. And I just noticed that I didn't actually finish this panel right here, right next to it. I didn't draw that panel out. So I'm gonna have to do some to do some drawing. Yeah, it was blue. I'm gonna have to correct his sandals. Gonna have to do a little bit of mixing first. As always, white is a very important color when it comes to painting. I imagine if any color is to run out first, it will be that. So I'm gonna add white directly on there rather than mixing it with blue. I'm gonna see how adding white to lighten up that color. And it does a pretty good job, I guess, because it's not so strong of a color. Where, as far as like India inks go, it's not extremely thick. Then I'm still able to just layer by layer make it lighter or darker. Now I noticed I also missed some detail on the floor, so I'm gonna do that now and show you guys how well these India inks work together. Look at that, no bleeding. Totally fine. Even the lines, you know, talking about John Buscema's work, even the lines on the ground have such expression to them. It's not just quick any lines. They have curvature to them, there's like thick and thinness to them. This is what I find so inspiring about his work, is that he really found a great balance between detail and simplicity. All of his lines have such character. Done. Look at that. Over India inks. No problem. No bleeding. Nothing. So if you guys are looking to pick up some traditional ways of coloring comics, definitely try out these Bombay India inks, man. they're great. I'm having such a good time with it. I'm gonna try to add some little detail here. Doing a couple of detail corrections. I also noticed that the layers underneath give the inks more lush color. So another positive note. Amazing Feathering by John Buscema. I'm really taking the time to study him. And with that said, y'all, I am gonna have to. Oh, wait a minute. This is a really important detail right here. Yeah. Okay. So with that said, y'all, thanks for tuning in to another stream of the Art Lounge Alley. I will be back to coloring using India inks next week, same time and place, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for drawing basics, 9 p.m. for coloring comics on Wednesday. Tomorrow, it's going to be drawing basics, and I will continue on with the project stream. So tune in then for more Art Lounge Alley. If you guys enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button and the like button. They both help the stream grow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you soon.